The Western Front was a cacophony of chaos, death, and destruction. Amidst the trenches and barbed wire, Captain James Harrington found solace in the rare moments of quiet, his thoughts often drifting to the melodies that used to fill his home in England. The once brilliant musician turned soldier longed for the gentle touch of a violin string, the sweet escape of music, which seemed a world away from the gunfire and bloodshed surrounding him. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a soft, haunting melody floated through the air, weaving its way through the trenches. It was a sound so foreign to the battlefield that it drew James from his thoughts. He followed the music to its source, finding a small gathering of soldiers around a makeshift stage. There, in the dim light, stood Elise Dubois, her slender figure swaying slightly as she played her violin. Elise was a petite woman with long, auburn hair that fell in soft waves, often tied back in a loose bun as she performed. Her striking green eyes, framed by long lashes, conveyed both the sorrow of the war and the resilience within her. She played with a passion that resonated deeply with the men, providing a brief respite from their grim reality. As the last note lingered in the air, the soldiers erupted in applause, their spirits momentarily lifted. James approached Elise, captivated by both her music and her presence. "Your playing is extraordinary," he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "I haven't heard anything so beautiful in a long time." Elise smiled, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "Thank you. Music is all I have to offer in times like these." Over the next few weeks, James found himself seeking out Elise's performances whenever he could. They began to speak more frequently, finding common ground in their love for music and their desire for peace. James learned that Elise had been a renowned violinist in Belgium before the war had torn her life apart. Now, she traveled with a small group, performing for the troops and trying to keep hope alive through her music. As their friendship deepened, James and Elise shared more about their lives and dreams. James spoke of his family back home and his longing to return to his musical roots. Elise confided in him about her fear for her family, scattered and lost in the chaos of the war. They found comfort in each other's company, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One night, after an especially moving performance, Elise and James walked along the edge of the camp, the sounds of war fading into the background. "Do you ever think about what life will be like after this?" Elise asked, her voice soft and hopeful. "Every day," James replied. "I dream of returning to England, to a life where I can make music again. And now, I dream of a life where you're a part of it." Elise's eyes sparkled with emotion. "I dream of that too, James. More than anything." Their relationship continued to blossom, even as the war around them grew more intense. The fleeting moments they shared became more precious, each one a testament to their resilience and love. But their happiness was soon tested when James was injured in a fierce battle. He was taken to a field hospital, his condition uncertain. Elise was devastated, fearing she might lose the man who had become her anchor in this turbulent world. She used every connection she had to visit him, her heart aching as she saw him lying pale and wounded. "James, please don't leave me," she whispered, holding his hand tightly. "I won't, Elise. I promise," he replied weakly, his determination shining through his pain. James recovered slowly, but the war showed no signs of abating. Despite his injuries, he was sent back to the front lines, a decision that weighed heavily on both of them. They clung to their promise of a future together, even as the war threatened to tear them apart. In a cruel twist of fate, Elise's town came under threat from an advancing enemy. The news reached James, and without a second thought, he defied orders to go to her aid. He found Elise amidst the chaos, her violin clutched tightly in her hands. "We have to get out of here," James urged, pulling her away from the danger. They fled together, but James was wounded again in the escape. They found refuge in a nearby town, their love for each other providing the strength they needed to survive. As James lay recovering from his wounds, Elise played her violin, filling the room with the same haunting melodies that had first brought them together. "I love you, Elise," James said softly, his eyes locked on hers. "And I love you, James." "With all my heart," she replied, tears streaming down her face. The war finally came to an end, and with it, the promise of a new beginning. James and Elise returned to England, determined to build a life together, one filled with the music and love that had sustained them through the darkest times. They married in a small, intimate ceremony, surrounded by friends and family who had also endured the hardships of war. James resumed his career as a musician, with Elise by his side, her violin adding a beautiful harmony to his compositions. Their love story, born amidst the horrors of war, became a testament to the enduring power of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bond they shared. Together, they found peace and happiness, their hearts forever entwined by the music that had brought them together in the most unlikely of places. The melodies they created together echoed through the years, a lasting reminder of the love that had blossomed in the midst of war and the promise of a brighter future.